My Italian heritage has always been elusive to me. I knew at a very young age the simple and short story: my grandmother, Maria de Rosa, came to the US sometime around World War II, met my grandfather, Noliño Luisi, and somehow they found their way to Natick, Massachusetts, where they still live today. There were a few holes in the story, and so my curiosity began to spark. This story focuses on my grandmother, my Nonna. My mom's side of the family was less complicated than my father's side of the family. Swedish and French Canadian, and they had been living in America for a much longer time. They were successful, educated, and fit in well with society. I never heard of a struggle from her side of the family. My dad's side intrigued me. He always told me to be grateful for what I had, because he had next to nothing. Despite this, he and his 3 siblings all made it to college and graduated. This struggle was fascinating, though difficult and a bit new to me. Maria de Rosa was born on April 14, 1938, in a small town named Melito, located in central Italy, a few provinces south of Rome. The town consisted of only 2,500 people and was so far off the grid that it had no roads. She worked with her family on their farm, with her parents and her brother and her sister. She harvested crops, fed livestock, milked cows and goats, fetched food and supplies at the market. The tasks were innumerable. Her family would provide for themselves and sell what they had left over at the local market, where they would purchase everything that they did not already have. I remember how my Nonna smiled when she remembered getting goat cheese from the market. It was her favorite treat as a young ragazza. Her daily routine consisted of waking up whenever the sun rose, making breakfast and checking the goats, pigs, and other animals to be ready to eat by 9 o'clock in the morning. She would continue to work and do chores wherever she was needed, stop again at around 11, eat lunch, relax, and go back to work at 3 o'clock until supper, which occurred whenever the day's work was complete. As I learned in interviews with my Nonna, she actually had brief memories of her own nonno, even her bisnonno or great-grandfather. Her own nonno, Euplio, was a police officer for the Italians during World War II and is shown in the top right of the photograph. Luckily, he was never in actual combat. My nonno was also in the service. On March 15, 1955, my Nonna left for America in order to live a better life with her family. She does not recall the name of the ship itself, but she does recall that the journey was terrible. She was violently seasick, and within a month on the voyage she lost 10 pounds. She lost so much weight that she had to use safety pins on her skirt to keep it up. She also turned 17 while in Canadian waters. On April 14, 1955, she arrived on Ellis Island and became a U.S. citizen. While getting documented on Ellis Island, my Nonna was asked if she would like to receive a certificate of her citizenship for $20, and she laughed at the man's face and went on to explore the New World. However, her sister, Nicola, did take the offer. In order to become more American, my Nonna and her family changed the spelling of their last names from D-I to D-E. This change would not last long, however, because shortly after, my Nonna and Nonno were married and her last name became Luisi. After becoming U.S. citizens, my Nonna's family went north to Massachusetts, essentially on a whim, and found themselves in the town of Natick, a suburb west of Boston. Once settled down in a very small house, they began to start a family. My Nonna worked as a construction worker, which my father eloquently described as digging ditches, and my Nonna worked as a nurse at a local hospital. In reality, her position of nurse was more of a maid. The two were so eager to work that my Nonna worked until he was physically unable to work at the age of 60, and my Nonna only retired a few years ago at the age of 77. The oldest of my father's relatives, Lisa, was born in 1962 when my Nonna was 24 years old. My Uncle Tony was born the year after that, my Aunt Janice the year after that, and my father Nicholas, the youngest of 4, was born on November 27, 1965. On June 7, 1992, my parents were married, and I was born 5 years later. I have a little brother, Ryan, who is shown here with my cousin Elsa and myself. My Nonna's memory is not as strong as it once was, so I have had to piece together fragments acquired through various visits. I feel very fortunate and privileged to be where I am today, and although my family history is incomplete, I'm beginning to see the bigger picture.